All right, what's up, guys? We are back. We're going to do a throwback. This is the Casey and Jason show.
Casey and Jason show.
Just kidding. This is the real deal with Casey and Jason, where we talk real life, real experiences, and occasionally real estate. And as you will notice here as we get into this, we don't have a third wheel here today.
It's just us.
We're going to keep this with just Casey and Jason. We're going to bring you guys a kind of a quick hitter.
Pow, pow.
We'll talk some real estate today.
Yeah, we will.
Because we kind of stayed off of that a little bit recently. We've talked to some business owners that have been awesome, shared their story of how they got into business, what's made them successful. And we also have, we'll call it some announcements, some new things that we're into, outside of real estate as well that we recently started, which are pretty exciting and they're starting to take off. So welcome, everyone. We appreciate you being here. If it's your first time, welcome. If you've been here before, give us a like, comment, share, subscribe.
And thanks for being here.
And thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. Give us a rundown, Jace, real quick on real estate, the market. The last time we did this, I think we were kind of on an upswing, if I remember correctly, where it was like getting real competitive again.
Yeah.
It's still pretty competitive out there.
Seems that way, especially and this is probably going to sound like word for word what I said last time. But like the 250 to call it $350,000, $400,000 range is just bananas right now, mainly because of inventory. I know you can speak to interest rates. We just talked about it briefly. I'm surprised at how much they have not deterred buyers. And I was talking about that this morning at the gym, at the Village Gym, shout out Village Gym, with another agent this morning. And she was telling me the same thing. She was like, I need more agents. She's like, we just have so many buyers and there's no listings out there. That's a big problem that we have. Although kind of the post-Memorial Day weekend, I mean, just kind of anecdotally, I've seen what feels like a lot more listings come through my inbox in the past 3 or 4 days.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, that's not certainly enough to satisfy any of the demand long term, but short term, if you're in the market right this second and you're looking for a house, this week was probably a better week for you than past weeks.
Yeah, I think so too. I definitely have seen that. Seen buyers ramping up on their activity. Mm-hmm. So I had, there was a house 2 weeks ago, I think, that just me and you had 3 buyers interested in the same exact house. None of them got it. We had 2 strong offers that went in.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, we didn't because they kind of backdoored us.
Yes, that's exactly right.
So
that's
shout out whoever that agent was. You kind of burned us there with setting a deadline and then not giving us till the deadline. We had 2 very strong offers prepared. Yeah.
But I guess we should have acted faster.
You're right.
And I was telling those clients, it's like it's something to learn from for us too. Like just because there's a deadline, and I know we were still trying to get ducks in a row. We weren't like waiting until the last second.
It pays to be early.
It pays to be early. Yeah, despite whatever that deadline might be 2 or 3 days in advance.
Yep. And I'll throw out a little nugget for everyone listening. If you're in the market for a house, Jason might not like me saying this, but one of the things that we have found, my buyers have found success with, is talking to people in their circle about properties that might be coming on the market. Mm-hmm. So, guys, if you're out there, if you're working with a great agent, great. But also just don't be scared to reach out to people that you think might be selling.
Yeah. If you know somebody who lives in a certain neighborhood and you like a certain house in that neighborhood, maybe that person knows who lives in that house, put a bug in somebody's ear.
Yeah. If you see a dumpster out front, dumpster chasers. If you see a dumpster out front, a clean out, just be aware of those things because it can help you find a deal that might be off market and you're not going to have to compete with as many people. Jason will still help you through that process.
Yep.
As your realtor, and we'll still there's different ways to set it up, but generally the seller's still going to pay the commission. So it's not like, hey, if I bring a realtor in here and Jason helps me with this, I'm going to be out of pocket or like having to spend a lot more money. So work with a professional. It makes the whole process really go smooth. If you've never bought a house before, I would not recommend you do it on your own. Yeah. However, do your own scouting and see what you can come up with.
Yeah. What are you seeing on the rate side?
Rates, so we had about a 2-week stretch where rates went up, and then this past week after Memorial Day, we had a really good day in the market on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We had rates come down all 3 days. Today they're trending back up, so we'll see what happens, over the weekend and Monday. But
is that a holiday thing? Is that like a? Can you probably can't remember like the past 5 Memorial Days, but is that a thing? Like after like a holiday where everybody's like out doing things and spending money and like happy, like our rates down a little bit?
That's a good question. I can't really put it to a holiday. What I would say right now, what's going on is the talks with like the debt ceiling and what they're going to do there. The reason that rates are going up so fast and why rates have increased so much is because inflation. Right. Really is what it comes down to. And the Fed they've done some work to try to cool inflation and raising the federal funds rate, which is designed to kind of cool inflation. But they were really predicting rates were going to drop pretty substantially after the last rate hike. It didn't really happen. Yeah. It kind of has dragged out a little bit. But on the horizon, we're still hopeful that rates are going to continue to come down this year as inflation starts coming down, because inflation, not to get real mortgagey on everyone out there, but inflation is measured on a year over year. So we're comparing, so this month we're coming into June, we're comparing this to June of last year. Right. So when they do the inflation numbers, inflation was very high last year at this time. Hopefully it comes down from where it was. So that's kind of what we're watching and keeping an eye on. But you're right. I think the rates have not deterred buyers. I think we're at a point now where people have kind of accepted that rates are higher and they're not necessarily on the verge of like plummeting again. Yeah. So it seems like buyers, maybe they're getting a little fatigued of waiting and they're like, hey, let's just get in a house. We got to make something happen.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say for sure. I am blown away because all the talk was, rates are going up and like, that's going to be it, right? That's going to be like buyer activity is really going to cool. Supply is going to shoot up on the market because we don't have the buyers, and then balanced market, and then things could turn down from there. But that was the discussion what feels like a year and a half ago.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, for sure it was. It was like first quarter of last year is when this all started. Yeah. Yeah,
and then just over the weekend, put a townhouse on the market, 5 offers, and it's kind of frowned upon to give exact price points, but way over list price. Inspection contingencies out the window, all that stuff. I mean, we were seeing that in late 2020, early 2021.
Yeah. A question for you, just that somebody might have out there. Like, we're hearing a lot about these inspections being waived, and we touched on this the last real estate episode we did. But if you're a buyer out there and you're considering waiving inspections, what's your opinion on that? Can you still have them done for, we'll call it informational purposes, or can you put a threshold on repairs? That way, if it's something major, they can still go back and...
Yeah, you can do all of the above. I think, as a buyer's agent, it's you kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth, right? As a buyer's agent, I'm going to recommend, that at all costs, my people don't waive inspections. It's just the right thing to do is to get a home inspection. But at the same time, I always have the realistic conversation that says, how bad do you really want this house? Because if it's a multiple offer situation and you really want a home inspection, that's great. I understand that completely. There's a good likelihood that if there's going to be 10 offers, 4 of them are going to waive the inspection contingency. At that point, you effectively have no chance to get the house, depending on price points and escalation clauses and what's the house actually going to appraise for. Is there an appraisal gap? There's a lot of things that go into it. But if all things equal, if I'm a seller and I have a house, an offer that comes in, one with inspections, one without inspections, no inspections is much more comfortable for a seller. So as a buyer's agent, I understand it's a very scary thing to do, but in the multiple offer situations, you kind of need to gauge yourself, kind of how you're going to sleep best at night.
Yep.
And you can do the informational purposes only. Usually that's a situation where, regardless, you're still locked in. Like, there's not a situation where you get a home inspection for informational purposes only and you can back out. I can tell you that I've had offers for buyers get put in, and when I write the informational purposes only in for that buyer, the seller still sort of balks at it in comparison to one that doesn't have inspections, because they know that if something shows up, depending on the relationship, the buyer can go to the lender.
Yep, get a denial.
And get a denial. and walk, right? It's a financing. In that case, it's, I lost my financing. But really, they probably saw something at the home inspection that scared them out of the deal. Then that house was tied up, and it's just
makes sense. It's like, well, if you're doing it for informational purposes only, then
to get a home inspection after you close on the house is what the seller's thinking.
Because they're thinking, you're still going to find a way out of it if there's a catastrophic issue found.
Correct.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So there's a lot that goes into it, for sure.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird market.
And the threshold stuff is tough. I've always had difficulties with that. Oh, we're not going to ask for repairs over $5,000, or a collective repair amount of $10,000, whatever the case may be. Who's making that determination? That's a very vague way to do things, and from my experience, sellers don't like that. The cleaner, the better.
Yeah, I agree. So if you're out there, just know that it's it is a tough market still, but I think I hope that we start seeing some reprieve here with the inventory coming back a little bit. I mean, there's a housing shortage in America,
big time.
So I guess the flip side of this and kind of the silver lining is we've heard a lot about a real estate crash, right? And a lot of headlines and things like that were like, real estate's going to crash. It's been up 20% over year. The crash is coming. We're coming to 2008 again. That's not happening, guys. Yeah. In my professional opinion.
Correct. Mine as well.
There's too much of a shortage out there to have values really plummet like that. So if you are buying a house, I would expect to see appreciation in that house, just like we pretty much always have. I mean, there's only been one little blip in the radar, really, of housing values coming down. I don't see that happening.
Ever since probably April, May, June of 2020, we were having the conversation almost monthly where values can't go up anymore. They can't go up anymore.
And now look at us.
They can't go up anymore. Yeah, and who knows? I expect as we get more of a balanced market, things will level off. I'm hesitant to say there's ever, not ever, but in the near future going to be a crash, like you said. I don't expect that.
Are you seeing cash buyers a decent amount?
Yeah, not overwhelming amount, but yes, I've done a few cash transactions just in 2023.
Are these mainly investors, or are these people buying the house to live in?
Live in.
Wow.
Yeah, the ones that I've dealt with. There was a cash offer that somebody wrote an offer on my listing over the weekend. That was an investor, but the ones that I've dealt with were live-in buyers.
So that's another thing I've been thinking about recently, because a big thing in the mortgage business is, there's a lot of cash offers coming in. So that obviously cuts us out of being able to help somebody with a mortgage. But maybe this will land with somebody out there. If you know somebody who paid cash, they can also refinance after they buy the house and recoup a certain percentage of the purchase price back in their cash. So that might be something that I have to put out there a little bit more, just for people's knowledge. Like, hey, if you did pay cash because you had to get a house, doesn't mean you can't turn around and pull some cash back out.
Right. That's a good point.
Yeah, and I expect too, when rates, knock it on whatever, but
glass.
Yeah, when and if rates do drop, that we will see maybe an influx of refinances for people that did lay out a bunch of cash, and they're like, hey, I can live with pulling some money out at 5%. I just didn't want to do a mortguage at 6.5% or whatever.
Right.
So we'll kind of see about that. So now that we got the real estate part covered, and guys, please reach out to us. Me and Jason give advice on this stuff. That's what we do. That's how we, really how we market our services, I think, is offering advice. The advice is free. We would love to work with you on a transaction if that's something that you're in the market for. But if you have questions, that's what we do. So
educate for sure. I think that's, nobody wants to be a part of a transaction as big as buying or selling a house and not know what they're doing. And I think, I can speak for you for sure. I know you do it. That's the reason that I work with you, because I know you got a great product, but I know that you are going to take care of whoever I send your way. And I always tell everybody, Casey's a genuine guy. He's going to shoot you straight, and you're in good hands with Casey. And that's all I can ask for. I know that the people that I send your way are going to be taken care of.
Yeah, and it's funny too, because we do give advice for free. I had a situation maybe a week ago, somebody that was referred to me from a financial advisor. And I had a long conversation with this guy, probably a 45-minute conversation. He had a lot of questions, which again is great. That's how we build the relationship, and we're helpful to them. And then at the end of it, he's like, "So what do I do now? Just go to USAA and then they do the loan, or what?" And I'm like, "Well, Well, I mean, I would be honored to help you with your loan. That's what I do, you know. But he was like, it literally just, it was like, and it was just, you know, some confusion on his end. He was just thinking it was for informational purposes, which is fine. I don't mind doing that. And honestly, I've turned people over to other companies that maybe had a better product that fit. So it's no problem, and there's no pressure at all from my end, and I know yours either.
Well, and this isn't necessarily a real estate conversation, but we hear so much in the like the personal development world about like giving advice away for free, and like there's like people get like a bad rap for that, like or like they're suspicious that somebody who gives away advice for free has like an ulterior motive, and I don't understand that. I don't know if people are just always skeptical that they're going to get scammed or something like that, but giving advice away for free, in my opinion, is the best way to do business.
Yep.
You know, I think, and this sounds bad, but most people, first of all, the advice you give them, they're not going to do anything about it.
Sure.
Right? But you know, doing the right thing, in my opinion, and being forthcoming and not trying to like sell somebody on something, just being upfront and disclosing as much as you can and being educational, that just comes back around.
Yeah.
All the time.
It always does. Yeah. I mean, if you know, again, it's a golden rule, right? You know, treat people the way you want to be treated, do unto others as you would have done unto you. Yeah. And it all comes back. And on the flip side of that too, I've had conversations with people where maybe it went somewhere and they bought a house, or maybe it didn't. And they're like, you know, do you just email me an invoice, or how does that work? And I'm like, no, I don't like. I don't charge you for anything. Like I only get paid when a loan closes. But that's the flip side of people. Like, you know, they do expect to pay for advice, but that's not how it works. So if you guys have questions, please reach out. We're happy to walk you through situations. You know, whether we're the lender and the realtor on it or not, we're certainly open for any advice. So we would appreciate any opportunity to do that. Let's get into it. Like a couple quick announcements, because we were just chatting about something that you have just started. How long ago?
Recently, within the past probably, well, I've been training clients for about 6 weeks now. Okay. Yeah.
So 6 weeks in, you started you just got certified to train. Talk a little bit about that, what you got certified in, and then like kind of where that's gone in the past couple weeks.
Yeah. So I stumbled upon the knees over toes guy, Ben Patrick. I want to say it was probably about a year ago, and kind of what we were just talking about. He's just a wealth of information, doesn't try to hide anything, and like puts all of like his pain-free secrets out there on his YouTube channel and Instagram, everything. He was I don't want to go too deep, but he was a really poor basketball player in high school, had really bad knees, was over getting all these surgeries, and did a bunch of research and found a way to rehab his knees on his own, and then has since dedicated his life to helping other people increase their athleticism and live pain-free, whether you are, 10 years old or 90. Like he can, like his program can work for you. And so I latched onto it and have my body just feels incredible ever since I have started to work through his program.
Yep.
And I signed up through his company, Athletic Truth Group, to become a certified coach in his program. And so I got my level 1 certification. I'm almost done my level 2 certification, and just really practical stuff. And man, I am always looking to. I've been a football coach for 10 years, and we train our football team. I'm not a coach anymore, but I've always tried to find what's the best way that I can help these kids do all the things that I wish I could have done. And maybe that's a selfish way to look at it, but like if I can just be the gateway to like this kid playing college football, or if that's what they want, or like man, in a perfect world, play in the NFL, or if it's a basketball player, the NBA, whatever, like man, that would just make my heart so happy if I could do that for somebody, because I wish somebody would have done that for me. And just through these last 6 weeks, it's a small sample size, right? But I feel like the progress is there. I feel like I'm just riding a wave of like possibility. Yeah. If that's fair to say. And so I've started off just training one kid. He's a great kid, basketball player, and I think I'm up to just about 10 now, and hopefully starting in a week or two, a local high school basketball team too. And it's just, I'm taking my dad through some of the stuff because he's got really bad knees. It really has applications for people in all walks of life, and I just freaking love it.
Yeah, it's awesome. And it's cool too because we've talked so much about pursuing things that you have interest in, that you have passion about, and we've, as much as we've talked about it, we were still getting to that point, right, where we were actually like diving into things like that.
Yeah.
So the fact that you made the jump, you got certified, you started your business there, doing some training, and then the clients are just kind of coming in, and
it's crazy.
And you're able
I feel like
to help
I get
people.
a new one every day just because somebody sees what I'm doing in the gym, and I'm fortunate enough to train at the Village Gym. The owner over there is a great guy and lets me do that, and man, it's just really cool. That's the only way I know how to describe it.
Awesome.
Like it just feels right. You know?
I think that kind of ties into something else that we wanted to talk about today is being really what being what you want to see.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I mean, when people see you in the gym, like you're for somebody to approach you and be like, hey, could you train me? It's like they're seeing a version of somebody who clearly has a process down, number one. You've got the results that a lot of people are after.
Yeah.
As far as like physique, and people see that. So you're actually being what people want to be. So it makes them, it's a lot easier for them to approach you and know that, like, well, if this dude's getting these kind of results, I want to know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Kind of goes over that whole thing.
And a word, it's funny that you explained it like that, because a word that's been going around in my head a lot is congruence.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel more than anything like, look, real estate's great, and it provides me a flexible schedule, and I love it, and I love working with buyers and sellers and the agents in the offices, broker, you name it. But I feel like this is just who I am, kind of like at my core. And so like to be and live out who I am, like what's in my brain, like actually happening in real life, there's that, what I have been calling congruence. And I read it somewhere and I was like, yep, that makes sense.
That's my word.
Yeah, I know. And I'm going back and I'm like, I might have even like named my company Congruence, but that, whatever. Things pass, but yeah, it's really cool, man.
Yeah, it's so cool too to really manifest this, because I know this is something you've talked about for a long time. It is who you are, and then for that to come into fruition to the point now where you have clients and you're earning, an income doing something that you love to do in addition to the real estate. It's really cool to see. So, props. I can't wait to see where it takes off.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Or where it goes from here. I should say it's already taken off.
Yeah, and I'm not the only one who's done something new. So
yeah. So
why don't you tell everybody what you're getting yourself into?
Yeah, one of my big loves is business. Honestly, it's the business aspect of everything, from the mortgage business to other businesses. I love the game of business, and I'm just dipping my toe into it, but I'm learning a lot, and I've learned a lot over the past couple of years through leadership training and sales training and all the stuff that we've done in the mortgage business. And just recently, a couple guys that I network with, we kind of had this idea. It wasn't 100% purely a new idea, but there's a need here in this area. If anyone has ever experienced mosquitoes, I think everyone hates them. Everyone's looking for a solution. They want to enjoy their backyard, their patio, their pool, their hot tub without these things buzzing around their head constantly. Biters and just messing with your dogs, all that stuff. So we actually had an idea to start a company that specializes in spraying people's yards for mosquitoes.
Yeah.
And we just got it off the ground last week. We've had, I think we're up to 8 clients that have used our services already just in that period of time. So in about 2 weeks. Really fun to kind of just start something new and build something new.
Yep.
So that's just been, another thing that like I've always seen myself as becoming self-employed. And of course we are in the mortgage business. Like you're pretty much an independent, I'll call it like an independent contractor. Right. Where you're paid 100% commission, but you're not technically self-employed. You're employed by a company. So to have, a company that I'm starting and growing, and, we have visions of growing this thing beyond Delaware, beyond Maryland, eventually maybe franchising the thing and maybe selling the company at some point. It's kind of cool to like have this thing that I've had this, an idea for business, but I've never actually executed it.
Yep.
To now jump in the weeds and start building this thing, building the systems, and I'm learning a ton. It's a lot of fun. We already have assembled a really good team of people around us that are going to be, helping support this thing and helping it grow. So exciting, again, awesome, just man. A side thing. So it's not, I'm not going anywhere with the mortgage business. It's not going to take up a ton of my time, thankfully. But it's just, it's kind of neat to have an idea and then just to turn it into something.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think, how would you rate the difficulty of maybe not the getting the business licenses and things like that, but just taking the step to do something different? Was it crazy difficult, or was it just a matter of taking action and figuring it out along the way?
I'll tell you what was hard for me is that when I started looking for an opportunity to start something or to buy a company, the hard part for me is that as soon as I opened my mind to that, there were so many opportunities out there. And it was trying to weigh all these opportunities of hey, this company's for sale. Let's look at their financials, see if it's a good fit to buy. Do we just start one? Mm-hmm. Do we go this route? This is a good opportunity over here as well. So that was the hard part for me, is once my mind was open to it, was actually narrowing down and picking something to move forward on.
Yeah.
So that process has been a good couple months, to be honest with you. But once we, again, I partnered with a couple guys that I network with that they were we're all in on this. We want to do this together. And, they're been big help with getting it started and stuff like that. So that was the hardest thing for me. I think it would have been easier if I had what you have, where you kind of knew what direction you wanted to go in. And it was just a matter of okay, I know what I want to do. Now I just need to make the steps happen.
Yeah.
But I just think this is so cool as well, because it's once I get this system down for starting this company and get it up and running, then I feel like I can do the same thing with something else. This won't be the last one I start.
Be all end all, yeah.
But again, just good experience to start that. And I'm sure you saw the same with your training business. At some point there might be something you add on to that. Mm-hmm. Or there might be something that you, spin off to, or just a different thing that you could kind of plug into that.
Definitely.
But now you have the confidence of well, I've started this business. I know the process. Because that in itself, I don't really give it enough credit. Just to start a company and form an LLC and get the bank account set up and figure out how you're going to bill people and market the thing and create pages, and just that in itself is a fair amount of work just to get started.
And I think what you said carries a lot of weight. It gave you confidence, to do confidence to do the athletic training thing, or the business that you set up, but also confidence that you could do something else too.
Yeah.
And I think that's seems to be, at least for me, a function of repetition. The more and more I do something, the more proficient I feel, the better that I feel about, because I'm still at a position where when I go work out with clients, I'm nervous.
Yeah.
What if this person thinks that I'm a total idiot? What if they think I have no idea what I'm talking about? Even though that I believe that I know what I'm talking about. The more and more I do that, those things will probably still all be there, but not as intense.
Yeah, just think back to when you got into real estate as an example. Day one of being a realtor, mm-hmm. when somebody called you, I know for me in the mortgage business, it was I don't know what to say to this person because I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Even though I had done all the training, I was certified, I had my license, I had been doing it a while, I did it before. It was still you have that degree of uncertainty and confidence in yourself until you get a lot of repetition, and now it's now you're on autopilot. So it'll get there. But yeah, you're right. I think the only way to really build the confidence is by reps.
Yep.
Just like anything, playing sports is the same way. Going to the next level in a sport where you're playing at college versus high school, or even from before high school to jumping into high school, it's mm-hmm. You feel completely overmatched day one.
Yeah.
And, as soon as you get in there and you get the reps and you start getting familiar with the process and the speed, then you acclimate pretty quickly, and then before you know it, you're the one with confidence and helping others along. Do you want to jump into, we talked about kind of being what other people want to be, and kind of it ties in a little bit with with change for me. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot going on just in general in the world. We could probably start a whole new episode on that. But I just think recently, maybe this is just me or maybe other people are feeling this, that I feel like there needs to be a change in culture. And it's a little bit, can be a little bit overwhelming to try to think about, how do I make a change when there's so much that needs to change? And just to kind of dial it back a little bit, and I'll share some of the advice that I've gotten on this and different people that we follow is start with yourself. So if you want to see a change, be the change that you want to see. So be a living example. Do the things that you admire, that you see other people do, and start with yourself. And when you do that, you're going to see this ripple effect. Starts with you and goes out to your probably immediate family, and then your friends kind of get on board, and then maybe your community, and then maybe you go even wider past that to your state, and then before you know it, maybe you're making a difference across the country and across the world. Yeah. So it seems like an easy concept, but I just want to encourage everyone out there. If you are feeling like I am, like, hey, we need some changes in culture right now, just encourage you to start living that change, and then you'll start seeing it show up in other people around you. And before you know it, it seems like you're surrounded by people that are on the same page.
Yeah, I think if you start just pushing yourself to build healthy habits, the 75 Hard program, which I failed miserably at, but just things within that program that I still take away. And I'm not telling everybody to work out twice a day or do anything specific, but I guess what I'm getting at is that's a program to help you develop some healthy habits that hopefully stick with you, and then help transform you into a different, better version of yourself. I think finding out what those healthy habits are for you, whether it's working out, whether it's reading, which has been big for me. A year ago, I didn't read anything. Like, this is all really new to me.
Yeah.
And I think if you start with yourself, like Steven said it the other day, and I'm not taking credit for his not drinking as much, but I mean, he said it on the podcast. Like, him and I were drinking buddies. Like, that's what we did. Like, right now, 4:30 on a Friday, it's 90 degrees outside. We would be downtown somewhere and probably long gone.
Yeah.
But because I don't drink anymore, and we closely associate by association, he's not drinking anymore either, and as much, right? Or I don't know what Steven does or doesn't do too intimately, but I know that him and I aren't out drinking anymore. So I think you're right. I think starting with yourself, and it definitely has a ripple effect. And I think your eyes will then open to what other people may be doing that you want to be doing as well. And the best way, in my opinion, to find out how to get where you want to be is to find that person who's in that spot and go talk to them, or pay for their time.
Yeah.
And I don't want to assume that everybody has the money to do that, but if you were to offer somebody $100 or $200 to spend an hour or two with them and really intimately learn about what they do that makes them successful, I don't think there's a better way to do it.
No, and I think that's the best investment I think you can make. When you look at the amount of money that we spent on college, for example, and it was like,
I love you, Mom, but I don't think she was very happy with our college conversation the other day.
Oh, no. Well,
but I stand firm with what I said.
Yeah, I just think it has a place, right? But I think the amount of money that, and like, let's not go crazy here. Like, you could spend a lot of money on college. I'm not saying you go spend that amount of money learning from somebody else, but like you said, if it's a $100 or $200 investment, at this point in anyone's professional life, if you could spend $100 or $200 and you could pick up something that would really change, your life for the future, your career, your health, like we're talking, I mean, spend a couple $100 on a tank of gas at this point.
And that's there's a good chance if you call that person, you have somewhat of a relationship with them, and you offer that money, they're going to say, I don't want your money. Like, I'll be happy to help you.
Yep.
Like, maybe not everybody, but I think in a lot of situations, you'll find that people are willing to help you, and you won't have to pay them for their time.
Yeah, especially successful people. I mean, they might be hard to track down and get a beat on because they're moving a lot, but I think successful people want to share the things they know. It makes them feel good to be able to give back. So if somebody's reaching out to them like, hey, I see you do really well with this. Can you, would you mind like sharing some of that, I think they'd be happy to.
Yeah.
And if they have a program that they, you know, can put you in, even better, you know,
Yeah.
and you can compensate them for their time if you want to. But yeah, I think, you know, finding out those things that you want to, you know, mimic in that person, and then kind of diving in. I mean, it's exactly what you're doing with your training, you know, that people are going to approach you because they see you and they're like, hey, I want to look like that. You know, let me talk to this guy. Right. And now it's cool that you have a vehicle that you can actually monetize that, and you're not just giving advice out for free.
Right.
Because you should be compensated for the hard work, the training you've done, the certifications and all that.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I hope that just jogged something in somebody in our discussion today. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Like if you guys would put something in the comments, maybe something you've invested in yourself that's paid off, maybe something that hasn't. If you want to get a fresh perspective, or you just want to have a conversation, we're definitely open to that. We would love that. And yeah, any parting words for the audience here today?
No, man. Let's see. I always feel like I should have some. I'm not as thoughtful as I always want to be in the moment.
You really turn it on once we turn the mics off.
Yeah, I know, don't I? That's right. No, I got nothing, man.
All right. Well, again, we appreciate you guys. Thanks for tuning in. We would love to hear from you and engage with you, so please do drop us a line. And yeah, it was fun on the Casey and Jason show.
That's right.
AKA The Real Deal with Casey and Jason. Guys, we will see you again next week. We appreciate you being here.
Thanks, y'all.
Peace out.